Welcome to RGBA, colorful tech news and reviews. This is episode 63. My name is Alexandre Vallière-Lagacé, and I'm joined by my co-host, Thierry Ménard.
So it happened. The iPhone event, the September event, the event we're all waiting for, the event we wait for all year, the biggest Apple event of the year, the iPhone event. So
Woohoo!
Right now, woohoo! So we're recording this, I think it's a Sunday. So yeah, no, I don't think it's Sunday. It is Sunday.
Yeah.
And the event was on Tuesday. So we've had a couple of things come out since the event, so we're pretty up to date, I think.
Yep, even jokes.
Even what?
Even jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it started, as we all guessed it would, at the Steve Jobs Theater, this brand new theater that Apple built on their new campus. So they invited the press. They had to go through the yard, all the way to over hills, down to some special underground theater that is housing a super big circular shape on top, big roof with glass windows all around it, and people were all wondering, how does this thing hold in place? There's no wires visible for lighting. There's no like beams or seams or anything. It's just like glass all around, 100%. Not a single extra thing to just say like, oh, here's where they put all the wires or the machinery or whatever. No, there's nothing. It's just perfectly transparent. So they started the event with a intro video, as they usually do, but instead of this time being something funny or whatever like they usually do, like with full of jokes and actors and whatever, this time it was very serious. It was very Apple-esque. It was a voiceover of Steve Jobs over shots of the new Steve Jobs Theater. They probably took like the day before because it was all clean, all perfect, all nicely done. And there was a beautiful sunset going around also near the end of the video. So that was pretty nice. There was also Beatles songs, All You Need Is Love, and some more also. And basically it's just a little message about being careful about the product you develop, and that's your real legacy or something like that. So it was pretty emotional. Like Marco Arment said, if this did not bring tears or at least like have an effect on you, you're not human, or you're wired wrong. So even if you're not like a super big fan of Steve Jobs and everything he did, it still is something very well produced and very emotional. So I had almost a tear to my eye, trying to hide it because I was at work, but that was pretty intense, I would say. And then we have Tim Cook coming on stage and trying to start his first few sentences without himself just crying on stage. He was holding all his emotion. It was pretty intense. But you see the professional in the guy, because after maybe like 5 or 6 sentences where they were full of emotions, he went back on the rails and he started to deliver his presentation like he usually do. So props up to Tim and the team for this nice intro and for doing this so professionally.
Yeah, he was really choking up while he was talking about it. Then after they started talking about, they had a little word for Hurricane Harvey and Irma. Am I getting that right?
Yep, Harvey and Irma.
Yeah, so they basically said, we're working with this organization. You should give if you're able, and our hopes and prayers are with all the families that are hit by a hurricane.
So for the first time on stage, after this little intro, we finally saw Angela Ahrendts present the retail update. We usually have retail updates every show. They're usually quite short. They usually present like, here's a new Apple store, here's how much people love our stores, blah, 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 stuff, self-congratulation, stuff like that. But this time they had a little bit more content. Basically, all the Apple Store are being reworked. This is kind of like the V2 of the Apple Stores. Now they're supposed to be called, what's the super name?
Town squares.
Town Squares, yeah. So people were already gathering there for to piggyback on the Wi-Fi, for example, or just to hang out, or just let's meet at the Apple Store and then we'll go somewhere else. So that's a trend that Apple saw in their retail store and started to add little chair, little section for kids when their parents are waiting for the Genius to come and stuff like that. So now they embrace this trend full on with plants on the wall and make it more like acceptable for people to just hang out. So they're now called town squares, and the Genius bar will now be the Genius Grove, which I hate. Genius bar was much more better. I was always hoping for the Genius to come with a little martini for me, but it never happened. But maybe one day, but not anymore. If it's a Genius Grove, then you might see something weird happen. I don't know. It's too magical for me.
And they talked about today at Apple also. So they're trying to host events at the Apple Town Squares stores. Town Square? Square? Something?
Yeah. The town square near the town square.
Yeah, and they're gonna have like a big theater in Milan, so you can go watch movies at the Apple Store, or I don't know what, or they're gonna have like presentations or like mini keynotes or like little sessions to learn how to use Logic and Final Cut Pro and all their pro apps.
Yeah, it's like they did before with their little hands-on sessions. When you got a new Mac, you could like assist a little meeting to be explained how to use email, how to use iPhoto in those years. And now they just push this a step further and embrace more music, more events, more something that's more local to the local entertainment stuff people like. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. It's not all Apple Store that will have these things, because they're not necessarily all big. Some of them are pretty small. Some of them are pretty constrained in terms of space or even access. So yeah, for example, in the Montreal Apple Store, I don't see any bands going there. It's way too small and crowded. Same thing for South Shore here in Brossard. It's a bit bigger. There's a part upstairs for the business reps, so that's something better. But I don't know how they would be able to fit like an event or a mini theater or something like that, because it's basically just a ground floor and it's a big square, and you've got this everything's laid out on tables like that, and then there's a little section on the left where you have accessories, which is kind of like a little grove. So I don't see them being able to move that. They don't seem to be going the route of having less products anytime soon. They're most likely adding products with all those watch series being kept on, all those phones, all the previous phones. Now Apple TV and 4K, and so everything is like adding, and never removing. The only thing they removed was the iPod, which were already on the shelf right next to the lightning cable, so they were already accessories, in my opinion. So I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I'm looking forward to that, just to see how exactly they're gonna pan in the future.
Yeah, my local Apple Store won't fit a band either, and the one in Laval. So all the ones we have in our area won't be suited for town squares.
Yep. So many squares. So the first thing that they discussed was the Watch Series 3. So of course we were all expecting a new Apple Watch, which we have now. It's basically two new models. One which is the Series 3 with LTE and GPS, and the other one is the Series 3 with only GPS. So finally the Apple Watch can live by its own, being untethered to an iPhone. Well, with big air quotes, because it still needs to have an iPhone to be set up and everything, but still, it can receive its own notification with its own LTE connection. You can, when you receive a call to your main phone number, it will be routed to both devices. So if you're, let's say, on a run and you only have your Apple Watch, you can take the call. You can reply to text messages. You can receive notifications from web services. So everything that we were hoping and dreaming for our wrist is now come true. That includes 40 million songs on your wrist. So Apple going on again with the little million songs in your XX. So in this case, it's not on your wrist. So you can stream Apple Watch. You can stream
Apple Music.
Yeah. Apple Music. You can set up your playlist. You can stream whatever you want. That's all nice. And also, since the watch is more powerful with a dual core processor, which gives it 70% more performance, you can now have Siri to work directly on the watch without it being processed on the phone and then sent to the server and then came back to the phone and then processed again to be sent to the watch. So you skip the whole let's go through the phone kind of process, and you're directly working with Siri in the cloud if you want.
And also, the Apple Watch surpassed Rolex as the most selling watch. Most popular?
Yeah.
What's the metric they use?
The most popular, well, the best-selling watch in the world.
It's sales.
So,
right?
so yeah, it sells. So I'm not sure if it's unit to dollars, but probably units, because it's hard to compete.
I'm guessing units. They've passed units for a long time, so I'm guessing it's like money, like sales.
Yeah, probably value. Yeah, because you see that this is something that really rocks Tim Boat. Wow, that really rocks Tim Cook's boat. So let's not skip words. It doesn't make sense. Poor Tim Boat. So he was like, remember last year when we told you that the Apple Watch was second in place? Well, now this year, and now you see that all his emotion comes out, and he's super happy and super proud. Now it is number one. So yeah, he's pretty happy about that. We still don't have any numbers, so we don't know if it's like Rolex plus one, but it's a number of watch over whatever was there before. This helps also that the Series Zero was being sold as a cheaper alternative with more power. So lots of people, I think, in the customer SATs, the score went up probably a bit because it's now more reliable and more fast and faster. So, and this will not stop because right now you don't have any Series 2 anymore. It's basically Series 3 with only GPS, and then Series 0. So,
Series 1.
Series 1. Yeah, what did I say?
Same thing for the other thing you were saying before there, that the new Series 1 is faster than Series 0. That's why customer sat went up.
Yep. So yeah, it's pretty confusing, those series, but yeah, because Series 1 is only 1 year old.
Wait till we get to the phone if you're confused now.
Yeah, I know, it's confused now this year. It's crazy. But yeah, and also a bunch of new bands, one of which I'm really excited for, and I will probably look into it this week. I've got an Apple Store appointment with a genius. So yeah, the nylon watch bands, they're now become the loop kind of thing, like the Milanese loop. So you can basically loop it around with magnets, and it's going to hold in place. But it's the nylon band instead. And I think there's like 3 or 4 colors of those, so that's pretty nice looking. There's so many new bands, it's crazy. There's a sports loop, which is.
But they won't be in stores yet, no?
I don't know. I don't see a date.
It says like shipped tomorrow.
7 to 10 business days. Oh yeah. They might not be there. Anyways, hopefully maybe they have it in a casing, so I can at least glance on those.
Even if they're in the casing, ask somebody and they take them out for you.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's called the Sport Loop. So there's a bunch of colors, a couple of gray tones, a white one. There's a 2-color one, which is the electric pink Sport Loop, and the pink and sand Sport Loop. So for $49 US, the same price as the nylon bands, you can get either the regular pin attachment or the magnets one.
I think you're going to prefer this one.
Yeah, most probably.
There's more adjustability.
Yeah, just for this, it's really worth it. And also the Nike bands, they start to grow on me. At first, they were so alien with their holes and everything, but now they seem to look nicer to my eyes.
Did you ever try one?
Not yet. But it's probably the same thing as a sports band. It's just that there's holes. No,
it's not the same. They're like, because of all the holes are more flexible and it feels like lighter and more breathable. I know it's stupid, but try one on and we'll talk about it next time.
Okay, I'll try to get those try-ons on my next appointment. And Woven Island has a bunch of new colors, even dual tones, like checkered or something. So it's pretty radical in terms of look. So there's a lot of of thing happening there. And we have also new leather bands and new Hermes watch, and it never stopped, man. It's I think this could be its own product category in the Apple's earning calls.
They removed the 6-color woven nylon.
Yeah, true. This one's gone.
I tried one on and I almost bought it, but then I was like, it's too flashy, and then now it's gone. So I guess I'll never get one now.
So, friend of the show, Luco from Limitless Possibility Podcast, he basically has one, and he flashed it in my face this week. He's like, "See, you like this one?" I'm like, yeah, it's pretty nice looking. So yeah, we had some nice discussions after the event at work. So yeah, so many bracelets. It's amazing what they do with the colors and everything and the materials, and so it was pretty impressive. Any plans to buy one?
Bracelets or watch?
Either.
Maybe a sports suit, but I don't think so.
Which color?
I really, really like the Milanese.
Okay. Yeah, because you have the Milanese, so yeah. You're one step ahead already in your game.
But it's fun because you can like micro adjust it all the time.
Yeah.
But the watch, I don't see me getting the GPS one. Not the GPS, sorry. The cellular. I just take the normal GPS Series 3.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to live with my Series 0 for a little while, I think.
Yeah. I'm a bit scared with what they're going to do here in Canada with the carrier plans. In the US, they were all like inlined, $10 per month to get a LTE connection for your watch. And the first 3 months are free. So that's nice, especially for the first year. It's really cheap. But in Canada, I'm not sure it's going to be like $10. It might be maybe $20, $25. And if ever carriers give us 3 months, I will be super surprised, because here they don't try to compete with the other companies. They just like align their prices and that's it. So yeah.
I read somewhere $5 and it was only on Bell to start.
Yeah, I think Bell is the preferred partner for the first company to offer the service.
And then TELUS and Rogers put out a statement like, we're going to look into this.
Yeah, well, of course they're going to look into this. Like, that's because they were probably not aware of that. And maybe somebody at Bell knows somebody at Apple, or somebody on the board at Apple knows somebody on the board at Bell or something. So they probably were able to start discussion on that. Like, let's just say you might come out with something for your watch with LTE. Think about it. And then they probably just got their plans in line, and they came back, okay, so we'll do it with this amount of dollars per month, and that's it.
Yeah, I found on a Bell, they have it. It's going to be $5 a month. Bonus, you get your first 3 months free.
No, seriously?
Eat that, Alex.
Wow. Okay, now I really am. Wow.
Oh, but wait. A $10 one-time connection charge applies for your first bill.
Oh my God. Oh man, connection fees. Still have those? That's awful.
I don't understand why the additional data from the Apple Watch is not more expensive, but priced separately. Or
well, it's going to consume the same plan of your cell phone, so there's not more data.
I know, but right here it says additional data at 7 cents per meg.
It's okay. So if you ever go over your allotted capacity with the Apple Watch, you have a special price. Just to confuse us a bit more, huh? So you have a special price per meg on the watch. Wow. Unless they're planning to... No, you cannot just get the Apple Watch without a phone. So it's... Yeah. Okay. And yeah. And that $5, you're sure it's the regular price? It's not a promotion price for the first few months, and then it becomes like $25 per month?
I don't see any... No, there's no asterisk. There's no nothing.
Okay. So I would be so surprised. Maybe Bell tries to gain more customers like that, trying to put that at $5 when everybody think it's going to be 15 or more. Well, that's a nice move. Now, moving on to another Square device. Booyah. The Apple TV. So I know, and I like it that I'm so bad. Okay, so the Apple TV. I was expecting something for this. We were all, I think, with the recent leaks. The Apple TV already appeared to have a little update in iTunes where you could see the little 4K tag next to movies. So people from Apple's service team probably leaked something because they pushed something to the live server once again, and they shouldn't have. So we were expecting at least 4K movies, and knowing the current Apple TV is not powerful enough, we were expecting a new Apple TV, and we did get one. So the Apple TV 4K, as the name implies, is able to to show 4K movies, is HDR compliant with the Dolby Vision and the HDR10 standards, which are, I think, the two main standard on the market right now. So that's pretty nice. The Apple TV itself, I don't think it changed at all. I think it's the exact same shape and size. The remote is so much better. There's not a circle of white around the menu button, so you can know that this is a brand new model of Siri remote. They did the same thing for the regular Apple TV. So if you get the regular Apple TV, then you should be able to get this nice new remote that is basically exactly the same thing, same design, same everything, but there's a white circle around the menu button. And the price, which is awful. It's even more expensive than the previous Apple TV, which was already the most expensive TV box on the market. The Roku 3 has been there for like, a year and a half. And it's like, even in its biggest configuration is like $129, I think, US. And so Apple TV 4K is, what's the price already? I forgot. $229, is it?
$199.
$199, yeah. So $200 for an Apple TV 4K. And the other one is still there also.
So are you going to buy one of these?
Well, I probably will, most likely will. Like I said in an earlier show, I still have my Apple TV for, the latest gen, non-4K, still wrapped up in its box from Father's Day. Because, long story short, I was expecting to buy a TV soon after, but then it did not come in rebate fast enough, so I was waiting, and now the new models are out, so I'm kind of screwed. So I should be getting one in the next couple of weeks / month before Christmas, let's say. So hopefully I can go back to the Apple Store with this little Apple TV still shrink wrapped and ask for a store credit to buy the new one, which will make more sense because the new TV will be 4K, that's for sure. So yeah, let's say there's a 90% chance of me buying it. Worst case scenario, I just sell the one I have that is still shrink wrapped on the classified ads, and I get the money to buy the other one. So
yeah, same thing for me. I don't have a 4K TV right now. We're supposed to move soon, so maybe I'll buy a 4K TV for the new house, and then I'll buy this. But first, we have to buy a house.
Yeah, kind of a prerequisite to put a TV inside something.
Yes, because right now we got nothing.
Nothing.
So next up was the iPhone 8, also known as the phone nobody's going to buy because of, we'll see later.
Or the phone everybody will have to buy because the X will not be there anymore.
You already said it wrong. This is starting.
It will never stop, man. Nobody is going to call it iPhone 10 because they skipped the 9. So people know, iPhone 7, iPhone X. Oh, it's the special model, the one that has no name, the X Files model or something. So that's why they're going to say iPhone X. 99% of the people will say iPhone X for sure. And also, we don't follow the Roman numerals that much. So even macOS was always called macOS 10. And I'm guilty of that. I always call it X because it's an X for me. And, I know it's 10 point something and it's macOS 10, but it just feels nicer to me to just say macOS X. Like OS X.
It rings in my ears.
I'm going to bug your ears for the rest of your life.
Okay, so iPhone 8, like all the rumors are saying, not 7S, like it should have been if you're looking at the history of the Apple iPhone naming. So basically same shape as the iPhone 6, like same shape. Glass back is like the big new thing. Other than that, physically, I think it's pretty much the same thing. Same thing as the iPhone 7, like with the new button, no headphone jack. It comes in a new kind of rose gold / gold color, like faded gold. It's gonna be nice. I think I'm gonna go see it in stores because we don't really see it. I think from the pictures, we see a little bit more from the hands-on videos that people have posted.
Mm-hmm. It's more of a copper kind of thing. So it's not pinkish so much. It's more like reddish, but copper, like goldier a bit. So it's weird, but yeah.
I just think the pictures and the videos don't do it justice, and we're gonna have to see it in person first.
Yeah, most probably, yeah.
Starts at 64 gigs. Another option at 64 and 256 is the new two options.
Yep.
They also bumped up the price of the 64 is now $699 in the United States instead of $649 like they used to be, like the iPhone 7 when it came out. They're keeping everything. So the iPhone 7, the iPhone 6S, and the iPhone SE. They dumped the 6, right? Yeah, they dumped the 6.
Yep. Yeah, so for me, this is basically an iPhone 7s. I think it's going to be case compatible, so it's negligibly different if there is a difference in size. Maybe it's a sheet of paper thicker or thinner, we don't know. I don't even think that they put the numbers in the spec, because I looked at it this week trying to see if they were case compatible. I read so that confirmed it to me, but there's no millimeters and point millimeters size on the text page, so it's hard to know if it's really the exact same shape or not. It's a nice phone, because the iPhone 7 is a nice phone. That's the one I have. So will I be jumping to this one? No, that's for sure. To get the nicer, faster, better camera would be nice, but it's not worth the Canadian price of $2 million just to get this one.
Yeah, might as well spend $3 and just get the iPhone 10.
Exactly. So at this point, because let's see, just for the US price, just for fun, how much is it for 250? It's like $949 US. So and it's $999 for the iPhone X. So for $50, like, makes no sense to get this one. I'm already on the Plus Club, so I'm already used to pay a bit more. So, but not this year, because mine is about 10 and a half months old. Sorry. So I'm not going to replace this yet. Also, I've equipped myself with a bunch of accessories like the Moment lens for my phone to make videos. So right now it might work because it's the same size and shape. Hopefully there's no gap or whatever. So that would work, but I'm not ready to shell out another $1,500 Canadian just to get this device. Nice looking though. So nice looking.
Yeah, so it includes the the A11 Bionic chip. So it's just a new series. Wireless charging. That's why it has the glass back. Yep. I think that's kind of sort of a surprise, because we thought the wireless charging, and I hate that word too, wireless charging, because it's not wireless. It's like inductive charging, or like put on little pad charging.
Yeah, there has to be either a contact or a gap of like 3-4 millimeters at most, because more than that and it won't charge. So, but the good thing for that is at least Apple is embracing the Qi standard. So something that is already on the market for many years, and they even said that they're going to participate into this standard and make it better, or maybe add technology that will make the standard evolve into something even greater, faster, stronger, maybe eventually be able to recharge your laptop with induction. So that would be nice. Right now they say that it's going to be as powerful as a regular charge. That I'm not sure. From what I've seen in the past, those Qi chargers are like 7 watts, 8 watts, 9 watts. So they're not as fast as an iPad charge that you can use to charge your iPhone, so which is like 10 watts and 12 watts. So that's not true per se. It might be slower, but it's probably as fast as regular 1 amp. What is it? 5 watts, I think, the regular iPhone charger.
Yeah, the little one that comes in the box is 5.
Yeah. So for this one, it's going to be as fast. That's true. But you can get faster with an iPad charger. And even, I'm pretty sure it's not just the iPhone 10 that's going to use that, what's it called? Quick charge. So like in like half an hour, you get like 50% or something. So
I think this one gets it also.
Yeah.
Also, I read somewhere that you can use your MacBook USB-C chargers now to charge your iPhone.
Yeah, somebody super nice sent you this link this week, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry. This week is all a blur. I was on vacation.
Yeah, I just want to be an ass.
And also, you're all over the place now. You say X, you say 10. Now you say Qi instead of saying Kai.
Because I went to a Belkin press event, and that lady from Belkin was Chinese. And when I said Qi, she looked at me like with big eyes and says, no, you have to pronounce it Qi. So since that day, I always say Qi.
Okay, so now I have to look at you with big eyes and say it's 10, not X.
Yeah, it might work.
Okay, next time.
Yeah. So the iPhone 8 also has a new screen. So it's the same sizes, so 4.7 and 5.5 inch, but they now have the same color accuracy, wide color gamut, and True Tone display that you get on the iPad Pros.
True Tone is good.
Yeah, True Tone is amazing. Wide color gamut. I have it on my 7, and I basically don't see it.
We have that
for
on
me,
the 7?
Yep.
What does it mean?
It means that you have more colors.
Oh,
remember that Jason Snell test with the what's his football team where they have orange shirts. You can see the exact same photo being taken by an iPhone 6s and 7. You can see the difference in the orange. The orange is much more brighter and kind of eerier, and that's one of the ways to see it. Usually greens are more contrasty and brighter, and there's also in the red/orange realm. So, but then again, it's only on the phone. So once you take your picture, if you send them via any means and watch them on a regular screen, you don't see it. So it's nice. It's not that the information is there. Kind of like taking photos in RAW. You have more data, so you can do more adjustments in the post-processing world. So I'm guessing that it's the same thing for the rest of the videos and everything you take with your iPhone 7. You have more colors, and eventually they can be leveraged for better color accuracy. So 25% louder speaker. Well, that's nice because the iPhone 7 has a nice speaker, and but it's loud enough, but it's so teeny, it's a bit crazy. But now it's deeper bass, so probably a new speaker assembly that they made up with a better bass. That's nicer. So let's talk about the Apple Bionic chip. What's this one? This one has 6 cores, 2 high performance core and 4 low performance cores, I guess. It's 70% in terms of performance improvement over the last year's chip. But the main thing, I don't know if you remember a few weeks ago, we discussed this as a potential rumor, is that Apple would be making their own GPU. Well, it's the case. In this A11 Bionic chip, it's Apple Design's GPU. So they have a 3-core design, and it was designed and optimized for Metal 2 and machine learning apps. So this GPU is already pre-optimized for all the Metal APIs and for everything that is machine learning, where you usually need big GPUs to crank up lots of calculation. And well, this one is already optimized for that, and it will be probably much faster than whatever else is on the market right now for that. Talking about performance, I've seen something shared by Gruber this week where he was comparing the Geekbench results of the Note 8, the iPhone 8, and the new MacBook Pro 13-inch 2017. So this year's 13-inch MacBook Pro. So, and the the performance of the iPhone 8 was much better than the Note 8 and the MacBook Pro. So that's impressive. It's in the compute. I think it was in the compute benchmark, which leverages the GPU and CPU together to do some nice rendering and stuff. But it's amazing that like in the same year, we have a new 13-inch MacBook Pro with some capacity, and you have an iPhone released a few months later, which already beats the MacBook Pro. So that's pretty impressive. New cameras, 12 megapixel sensors, optically stabilized. That's a new color filter also for the regular 8, and the 8 Plus also has a new f1.8 and f2.8. Both cameras are now optically stabilized, I think also. Or is it only the iPhone 10? I don't remember.
It's only the iPhone 10.
Okay, so this one only has one camera stabilized, like the one I have. Okay. And then we moved on to the nice software features, all of which were leaked just a bit before the event. We'll get to that after all of the announcements. But you have a new portrait lighting. So instead of just the portrait mode on the Plus size, you can now use portrait lighting, and this will change on the fly the lighting of your subject. So if you want a more of a, let's separate the face from the background to blur it like you already just do, but now you can also add a bit of light either on the face, around the face, or even make a studio photo where the whole background becomes darker. So you only have the face coming out of the picture. 4K 60 frames per second, 1080p 240 frames per second. You even have AR in 60 frames per second with low light and accurate motion tracking already embedded in this GPU, CPU. So that's already pre-optimized for that. So whatever performance you had with your iPhone 7 right now, I'm guessing AR games will be even better. Even when people do demos, they usually have their hands that shakes, and you see the little character or whatever the render just jerking a bit. I'm guessing that this jerkiness will go away eventually, maybe even this year with those optimization. Yeah, I think that covers it.
They stripped 2 colors, so there's no more jet black and there's no more rose gold. So it's only space gray, silver, and gold.
That jet black thing though, it's sad because it's super nice looking, but since it's so prone to scratches, it's not gonna age very well. You can still buy the iPhone 7 right now in jet black, and they even have a new 64 gigs capacity. So both of our phones lost value because of this event.
Don't tell me that.
Yeah, I know, it's super sad. If you were hoping to sell yours because it was 128 gigs and it was special and it was jet black, well, now you can get this year something cheaper for 64 gigabytes.
Okay, and I have instant follow-up also. You're
Sure.
asking if it's exactly the same size as the iPhone 7. The millimeters are out now. So
Okay.
the iPhone 8 is a little bit thicker, a little bit wider, a little bit higher. But it's all by 0.1 or 0.2 millimeters.
Oh yeah, so it's in the realm of the what do they call those? The
Accepted something?
yeah, it's the whatever the margin of acceptance, if you want. Like if you ever do a case for a device, it's always good to have a little margin so that if, let's say, you're in a cold environment and metal shrinks, maybe the phone will shrink down like a couple of tenths of millimeters. Well, same thing if you're in a hot environment, it's going to expand a bit. So all those things has to be taught into the case design and case measurements. So I'm guessing that those point differences, like if you get like 0.2 millimeters, what is that? It's like a sheet of paper or two. So it doesn't matter. I already have like a piece of metal in the back of my case, so I can get it magnetically attached to my car dashboard. So, and I barely don't see it, and it's quite more thicker. So no, it's the same thing. So it's fine. I'm pretty sure the moment case will be fine, and the moment lens would fit probably normally.
But anyways, you're never going to get this phone, technically.
Nope, skipping this one for sure.
It might be like a wife phone.
Yeah, well, my wife already has an iPhone 6s, so right. Not yet. She's not as of a power user as us, so for now it's pretty nice, and it will probably still be okay until they stop updating it. And since it's the S line, it's probably going to be like in 3 years. So iOS like 14. Will they go like on like that forever with the iOS numbering? Because the numbering stuff, it's all over the place now.
I think so.
Yeah, iOS 12, 13,
I think
14,
they're
15.
gonna drop the phone pretty soon, I'm guessing, to do like the new iPad, just like the new iPad Pro or the new iPad.
Yeah, I would have loved this to be the iPhone Pro. It would make much more sense. MacBook Pro, iPad Pro, iPhone Pro. This would have been like much, much, much easier. Because now, if you don't get the X, you kind of feel like you have the last decade iPhone instead of the new decade iPhone. So there's like a negative connotation added to that, which I don't like. And if you have a Pro and a non-Pro, then you say, oh, okay, that's for the pros. Like it's like the top of the line, more expensive, more powerful, of course, but it's for pros. So that makes sense. And if I'm not a pro using that device, I don't feel ashamed or I don't feel bad. So, but the X thing, especially the way they presented it, that it's the start of a new decade of phones, you're like, okay, I'm like in the last century and now I have to get this like Alexander Graham Bell phone instead of this new thing. So anyways. Yeah.
So anything else about the iPhone 8?
Bluetooth 5, quad LED flash. So you got 4 LEDs for the flash instead of 2. Fast charging compatible, like we said. 64 and 156 gigabytes. Pre-order September 15th, available September 22nd. So this week, you'll start to see those reviews coming up. And iOS 11 will be released September 19th. So we already have all the GMs. So I was pretty rapidly updating my device to the GM. Main reason is instability. It's much better. The single most problem I had, let's not talk about the pasting of stuff, which was always a problem with the betas, which is now fixed. But the Wi-Fi reliability, I often have my Wi-Fi on and it just doesn't want to. It's like connected, but it doesn't want to render any internet connection. So I just need to toggle it off and on again, and it's working. But I had to do this like almost every day with the betas, and now. Yesterday night was the first time it happened since Tuesday. So that's like 5 days later, 4 days later, and it's only happened once. So I'm pretty happy with that. So that's the only little glitch I have, but the rest is all pretty nice. All right, so let's move on with the iPhone X.
So it's the phone we've seen since June or July, something like middle of summer. It's basically everything exactly what we saw. Screen edge to edge with two Batman ears, like Federico from Connect Some Console. I really like that term, Batman ears.
Yeah.
The camera on the side, the all glass design, but that like went down to the iPhone 8 also, so I guess it's not like new. Face ID, no home button, just completely new design. The phone that all the geeks are going to get. The phone that everyone wants to get, but it's so expensive, especially here in Canada.
Yep. That conversion rate is not helping us at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I told you, right? I was in the States, so I was doing it on the American website, and if I'd buy it exactly as is with the conversion rate of that day, it was $200 cheaper than if I bought it in Montreal.
Yeah, it's crazy. And not just that, like if you look at the last 3 to 6 months, the Canadian dollar gained value, went from like 72 cents US for a dollar Canadian up. Now we are at 83, I think. So it's a good chunk, like a good more than 15% increase. So you would guess that Apple would probably adjust the price and bring them closer to not being the same thing, but maybe like a 20 or $30 more. But it's not the case. Like we are way over. It's even, the gap is even wider than it was last year for the iPhone 7. So like you said, like it's getting into the realms of, should I just do a road trip to the States to get my iPhone? Especially if there's like a taxless or tax-free zone.
Delaware.
Yeah. So Delaware is one, but even New York, it was like 7%, I think. So
I think it's
still
9.
cheaper. Yeah, 9. So it's still cheaper than 15. So
8, 9.
Yeah.
Worth it. If you're going to the States, like if you're going on vacation, it's just, you have to declare it when you're coming back, or you can take a risk and not declare it and not pay taxes, but that's at your own risk.
That's your gamble, yeah. So, but yeah, if you have to declare taxes for it, you'll have to pay GST and everything on it.
So then it comes back to the same thing. But or else you're gonna save like almost $300.
But not if you pay taxes and everything. So I'm not sure. It's gonna be like cheaper for sure, but by maybe like 100, 250. So driving all the way to Delaware and back, the gas, the time it takes, is it worth it? $150.
You're going on vacation in New York or something.
Yeah, if you're already there, yeah.
Pick up one, and it's gonna be big savings.
Yeah, much easier. Yes.
One up for me and for another friend and for another friend.
Yeah, and a backup one in case you drop this one, and a backup if you drop it in the ocean. So yeah, makes sense. So a few things that you missed and you described the iPhone. The band around the phone is a stainless steel band instead of aluminum like it was for the previous iPhone 4 and 4S generations. So that's different. The screen is 5.8 inches in diagonal. So it's exactly like the LG G6 I tested. So that's the very same form factor, very same size. It's a 2436 by 1125 resolution. So that's 2.7 million pixel at 458 ppi. So that's pretty intense in terms of screen. It's an OLED display, so huge savings on that end. I think I read somewhere that the screen was like 40% of the battery life, battery consumption of a phone. Yeah. So by going OLED, I think you can cut like 30% out of those 40%. It's really amazing, especially if you have some UI that is optimized to be mainly black. Like if you have a dark mode in iOS, or if all the apps you use are dark mode enabled, because an OLED has this special feature that if a pixel is black, like the 000 black in HTML or any other RGB setup, RGBA, it's basically off. So a pixel that is black is off. So a pixel that is off doesn't consume any power. So if you have a black background on your lock screen and a black background on your home screen, well, other than the icons themselves, all those black pixel, maybe you have, I don't know, like 30% of your home screen that is black, then it's 30% less power right there. And even the colors one are using less power also. And if you have a full black lock screen and only have the time displayed, then only those pixels are using power. So it's maybe like a 2% power consumption compared to a non-OLED screen. So that is amazing. It was a big story about this during the presentation where they could have done it before, but the technology wasn't there to have the color accuracy that they wanted. So, and they wanted to go further with that. So they wanted HDR also and Dolby Vision. And so that's what they did. The new screen also has True Tone, HDR, 1 million to 1 contrast ratio. And this will basically take whatever screen you have in your iPhone 8, which is the best one, but the same technology with the same accuracy, the same True Tone. Does it have the white color gamut? I'm assuming so. It's not in my notes, but it's probably because
Color display P3.
Yeah, okay, so it has everything that the regular iPhone has, but just in an OLED setup. You also have the tap to wake, so that's cool.
Called Super Retina HD now.
Yeah, sorry, Super Retina HD.
I hate that. That's a brutal word.
Yeah, Super and HD. What's next? Like Hyper, Alpha, whatever. Yeah. Other than that, that's probably it for the device itself. Like you said, no home button. So that was a big contentious thing in the rumor mill for a long time. And according to Apple engineers, they've been at it for like many years. And they've known that it would be Face ID only since last year. So I don't know what's happening with those rumor mills cranking out that Apple was using like a Touch ID in the back or under the screen or whatever. But that was like not even a matter of discussion, yeah. It was certain that they were going Face ID only.
I'm looking also at the sizes too, and it's closer to the iPhone 7 than the 7 Plus.
Oh yeah, that's that's the best part, is that in your hands it's basically just tight, just a small little bit bigger than the iPhone 7. So it's a very nice thing to hold in your hands. When I had the LG G6, which is okay, not the exact same shape, but it was the closest I could find. That's why I wanted to test this phone to have a feel of what that screen ratio and technology would give. It's very nice to hold. It's like it's almost having the Plus screen but having the regular size. So kind of the best of both worlds. Because my Plus, I love it. It's amazing. The screen is huge. For whatever I use it for, it's perfect for that. But still, it's a pocket challenge sometimes, and it's also a pain to use with two hands if you want to get that damn back button on the top left. So this would probably allow us to hold it near the middle, have that pinky hold if you still do that, but reach the back button much more easily.
What was I going to say? I had something, but then you confused me with your pinky hold.
Oh, sorry. There's also the side button, the lock button that is now bigger and wider. It's used for Siri right now. So if you hold it down, Siri's going to come up. So there's no home button, so they had to put it somewhere.
Everything besides going to home that we do with the home button is now in the new side button. So Siri, not multitask, right? Oh, there she goes.
Oh. Yeah. And so that's for that. We now need to unlock our phones by swiping up from the bottom. So the swipe gesture this time is much more involved. Apple embraced swipe gestures, and they even removed in iOS 11 the gestures that we did not like the force touch to the left of the screen while swiping to get to the what do you call that? The app switcher. So it's gone. So that's nice for iOS 11. So I was pretty happy because I was like 98% of the time I wasn't being able to trigger it when I wanted to. because of a case. So that's good. It's not there anymore. But this time, swipe from the bottom to unlock. Then if you want to reach your search, you just drag from the middle down. If you want to get your notification, you drag from the top down. But if you want to get to the control center, you swipe from the icon section to the right of the notch down. So
Batman
it's Batman ear. It's quite something. Like for people who are used to iOS 10, they might find it a bit cumbersome if they move to the iPhone 10.
But I like using Control Center a lot, and it's going to be a pain to go get it in the Batman ear instead of swiping from the bottom.
I know, because we've been used for it for so many years, like at least three years, I think, 2 years. But still, like you said, we do it like every day. And if you have problems, or if you want to like toggle like between on and off, like Bluetooth or whatever, that's always the place to go. I use it for the camera, for the calculator. I just wish we can customize those icons more than just
calculator.
Yep, I have this as my second icon from the bottom right, so I can use it from the lock screen. It's super fast. Also the flashlight and the Apple TV. That's like that's my 4 icons on the bottom row, and that's what I use them for like 98% of the time. I sometimes also, but very rarely, like trigger the control center by mistake, and I would be listening to a podcast and I would use those little plus 30 seconds skip forward buttons that are in the now playing thing. So it's not great because it's super small, but it still works. So I think that's it for the hardware side of things. The software side of things is pretty amazing. Let's start with Face ID. This is kind of like one of the biggest tentpole feature for this release. It's a way to unlock your phone by scanning your face, comparing it to a mathematical model that is being stored in the secure enclave, kind of like Touch ID. And the great thing about this is that it's using neural engines to understand your face and to adapt to slight variations. Like if you start to grow a beard, if you have glasses on, even if you have sunglasses on, given that they let the IR, the infrared beams pass, because this device has quite a lot of sensor on the front. It basically has one special beam that it shines at your face that is invisible to human eyes.
Yeah, that was confusing.
Yeah, to kind of illuminate your face. For the second thing that's going to beam like 30,000 small points on your face to create a mesh network, kind of like 3D animations. So when they want to render, like, let's say in Lord of the Rings for Gollum, they motion captured Andy Serkis' face to exactly mimic his emotion into the 3D character. So it's exactly the same thing here. It's live, it's invisible to your eyes. And then there's a third thing that I don't know if it's a camera. It might be the camera. I don't know if it's a third sensor, but the third part of this is once you have the light, once you have the dots, you have something to scan the whole thing and make a mathematical model of whatever it scanned, and then compares it to whatever was set up in the phone. So we also had an example of what happens when somebody else tries to tamper with your phone. In the presentation itself, Craig Federighi was surprised to see that Face ID was failing the first time he tried the demo. That's why he moved to the backup demo phone. At first, people say, "Oh, see, it's not even ready. It's not even working." But the thing is, this feature has been confirmed to be on the next iPhone since last year. And all those engineers who already have iPhone 10s in their pockets, they say they've been using it for many, many months and they don't remember the last time it did not work. So they were very surprised to see it fail. And then Federighi confirmed in an interview with TechCrunch that it's because whenever they ready up all the devices on the presentation floor, there's people going on and then dusting and cleaning everything. And probably that person took the phone in its hand and cleaned it up. But that phone tried to scan his face and did not work. So after 1 or 2 failures, it's going back into lock mode. Kind of like if you tried your thumb too many times and then it does not recognize the thumb, it goes back into the lock mode and you need to enter your passcode. So that's what happened. So it's working as intended. It's secure. It's doing it properly. And the cool thing is like the beard stuff and the hair stuff. If you change your hair, change your beard length, all this is supposed to work. So I'm just curious, like we discussed this week, like what about sunglasses? Like what kind of sunglasses will my sunglasses work? Because like you said, you were on vacation and you had your sunglasses on like all day. That would suck if you were not able to unlock your phone because you had glasses and you had to lift your glasses like an old man just to see your face. So,
or like the guy in the X-Men there.
Yeah. The names today. The names. Jeez, not Cyclops. Cyclops.
I don't know. Even if you tell me, I didn't know. I won't know.
Oh my God.
Oh, I just remember what I wanted to say about the size of the iPhone 10. Oh, I almost said X. Almost. I think the size difference is going to be closer to like the jump from the iPhone 4 or 4S to the iPhone 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Then they jump from like 7 to 7 Plus.
Yeah, exactly. Most definitely. It's very, very close.
It's just basically taller. It's a bit wider, but it's mostly taller.
Yeah, so you just need to reach a bit higher, like you did with the iPhone 5. So, but it was still single hand capable, and I'm assuming from what I've tried with the LG G6, it should be the exact same thing. The only thing is if you hold your phone in your left hand and you try to reach control center on the top right section with your left thumb, I don't know if it's gonna work. It might be a stretch. So. But for those situations, if you only use your right hand once in a while, you don't go to control center every 5 minutes if you're using Twitter or browsing the web or whatever. So you might be able to do it 99% of the time with one single hand. So one thing that I found pretty interesting, and they did not discuss this in the past, unless I totally zoned out a couple of years ago, is there's a 1 in 50,000 chances that Touch ID can be broken.
They never talked about that.
Yeah, because they said it's always reliable, it's the most reliable thing, but they never said it's possible to break in to Touch ID. But compared to Face ID, which has a 1 in 1 million chances, so that's pretty amazing. Like it's right off the bat, it's more secure, and it fully replaces Touch ID with no single line of code to be done by the developers. So your bank app for now that uses Touch ID to let you in is going to work the same way for the face, and they don't even have to release an update or anything. If they do, it might be faster because it's not going to go through an interface, but it's going to be transparent to the user. So that's the nice things. So for you, I'm guessing it's going to be quite tempting to get this phone and have Touch ID work for you. Well, Face ID.
Yeah, because Touch ID is pretty hit or miss. Even with the new iPhone 7, I have very damp hands, so it's like if I'm always coming out of the shower, so it doesn't work very, very reliably. It's like It comes in streaks. It's going to work perfect for a week, and then it's going to work horribly for like 2 weeks, and it gets pretty annoying because then I'm like hopeful and I always try with my finger, then I have to revert to the passcode.
We've discussed this a lot in the past, and I've never really understood your situation until I worked on my yard for the whole day, and I had my fingers like all dirty and all, and it didn't work. That made sense for me because they were like dirty. But then when I washed my hands, they were still like dirt in the micro, whatever you call those little lines in your fingers, and they were still not working. So I'm like, geez, that's how Tyler feels. Poor guy.
I know, it's awful.
So I had to go back and like use a brush and try to brush all the grime from my fingerprints, and then it would work. But it was such a hassle, and I'm like, geez, that's what he goes through every week. So that's bad.
I just tried right now and it's not working. And it worked this morning.
Okay. Geez, yeah. So hopefully this will work, and I hope that your glasses will be compatible.
Yeah, my sunglasses.
Yeah, your sunglasses, yeah. So, of course, Apple being Apple, they want to leverage that thing to do new fun tech demos. So they discussed about the Animojis, so which are basically emojis that are in 3D and that are animated by your voice and your face movement. So it's using the Face ID capture thing to scan if you are sad, if you are laughing, if you are mad, whatever, your emotions, and records your voice so you can send those Animojis to your friends, which will be fun for the first couple of days. just like the heartbeat stuff and the
Stickers.
stickers, and let's send you a little drawing from my Apple Watch thing. This will not stick very well. So on the camera side of things, basically we have new cameras also, just like the iPhone 8, but these are slightly different. The wide camera, which is instead of being a f2.0 aperture, it's a f1.8, so it's a even wider aperture. And the telephoto is 2.4. Let me just check if it's the same thing. Yeah, it's even wider than the f2.8 of the 8 Plus. So it's two cameras that are better in terms of photography. So that's nice. And both cameras, even the 2X1, is also optically stabilized. So that's pretty nice. If ever you have an iPhone 7 Plus and you try to play with it and to take videos at 1X and then go to 2X and continue with the videos, then you know that this is a lot more jerky and there's a lot more movement capture. So the front camera, it's a true depth camera, meaning that using the Face ID thing again, it can detect your face from the back and you can enable portrait mode like that. So you basically have a selfie portrait mode and a selfie portrait lighting enabled camera. So whereas the iPhone 8 and N Plus, they don't have that capability. It's only from the back cameras. So they also have the same A11 Bionic chip, so the same power, exactly same thing. So that's one thing I was not sure if it's going to happen, but basically they have the very same chip on both the iPhone 8 generation and the iPhone 10 generation. Also wireless charging, like we said. Even Apple is going to bring out a power mat, so you can charge your devices like that. It's a wider, kind of like pill-shaped mat where you can drop your phone, your Apple Watch, and eventually a new case for your AirPods, which will be wireless compatible. So the same AirPods, you just buy a new case and you can put them in, and just dropping the case on the mat will charge everything. So in terms of battery life, the iPhone 10 has 2 more hours compared to an iPhone 7. So it's basically like closer to the iPhone Plus size than the regular size. So that's pretty nice for that. What else is there? Of course, everything is environmental friendly. So that's all the last little card that they usually show at the end of the event for each devices. And the iPhone X will be $999, shipping November 3rd. So if you have a MacBook Pro from 2016, which is the USB-C powered MacBook Pros, you have a already powerful enough, like, what is it, like 60 watt and 87 watts, I think?
Yes. Or
yeah,
I think the 87 is the base.
Is the base? Oh.
Yeah. I'll just continue talking. I'll check.
So if you have one of those, basically you can use that charger and that cable to using, of course, either a soon to be released Air Power Mat or
That's not Air Power Mat. Air Power. There's no mat.
No, it's a mat. It's a mat where you rest your phone, so it's a mat.
Okay.
So you can use that thing, or you can use an adapter, which is USB-C to Lightning, to have that quick charge enable to your iPhone 10, sorry. So you can leverage the quick charge, which is, I think, 50% in 30 minutes. So that's pretty sweet. If you don't, and you want to use something else that is quite powerful, you need a bunch of adapters, and it's Dongle Town once again. So that's not cool, but if you already are in the Apple ecosystem, you can leverage that right off the bat. So when you go on traveling, you only have your laptop charger, and your phone, and you're good to go. And one dongle, sorry.
So the bricks are 61 watt and 87 watt.
Okay. So yeah, both of those are usable to quick charge the iPhone 10.
And also iPhone X. Oh, and also iPhone 8, sorry. The names.
Yeah, the names. Yeah.
Also we weren't sure about Apple Pay, how it worked, but Apple Pay just works with Face ID.
Yeah.
Remember, we weren't sure if they had like special deals because like a thumb would be secure and the face would be secure, but it all works.
Yeah. So probably the wordage that they use in their contracts with the different banks allow them to change the biometric in use and not just restricted to the thumb or finger. So That's why they were able to swap it with something else and use the same API endpoints so that developers don't need to update their software, and it would work as is. So one thing I wanted to address is that leak situation. Earlier this week, before the event, I think it was Monday, I posted a little article on Ipster which detailed my feelings about the leaks. Basically, it comes down to, for me, those Apple events are basically shows, like TV shows. There's one every year, and there's more than one every year usually. But for the iPhone, there's one every year, and it's like a Christmas special if you want. So you know the actors, you know all the products, you know everything that's going to be discussed, but you don't know how they're going to change. You know we have a watch, you know we have some kind of intro, we have a new iPhone, we have new accessories, you have new watch bands. But this year, there were so many leaks, and the worst thing is that all of the leaks were coming from Apple directly. So we had the HomePod firmware leak that went on the public beta server instead of being an internal private server. So people were able to very easily guess the URL to download the firmware. So if you ever did download an IPSW file, basically from Apple, you usually have like iPhone 6,2, then some other details, and then a sequence of numbers and letters. So it's the format is very strict, so it's very easy to guess what's coming up. So we had people that are watching those servers and doing a query every day for a bunch of different names. And one day that query actually worked, and they were able to download some firmware for the HomePod. And in that firmware, since it was not intended to be delivered to the public, there was a bunch of assets like photos, icons, even text. And so that gave us like basically the rundown of the iPhone notch and the shape, the resolution, the screen size, like almost everything. So that was like a huge failure on Apple's part. I'm guessing it was not somebody malicious. It was basically just an error in judgment that they wanted to test, I guess, the distribution using the public server instead of a private server, which would make sense in any QA setup for those new HomePods, but that really failed badly. So this, up to this point, I can understand. It happens once in a while, so you got to live with it. You got to change your processes for the next time and make sure it doesn't happen. But the next one, the one that came out, I think was like 3 days. Like, was it over the weekend before the event,
it was
or
Saturday morning? And
yeah, Saturday.
Throughout the day on Saturday.
So yeah, Saturday morning, somebody from Apple leaked the new URLs for the iPhone 10 firmware. So this time, Apple learned their mistakes from the previous time, and they had a more unique and more randomly generated URL. So people scanning for iPhone 10 or iPhone X or whatever, they were not able to find the files. But somebody from Apple leaked the URLs to, was it 9to5Mac and Mac Rumors, I think, right?
Yes,
so they leaked. Yeah, they leaked it to the two press sites, and here's guys.
Probably a bunch more, but those two acted on them.
Yeah, those were usually pretty fast when they get that information. So those two basically got the URLs, they were able to download firmware and started to go through them and find all the details, and even most of the text from the settings page. So you had all of the, the screen where you set up your camera and you say, here's a resolution and a FPS for video capture. Well, you had all the verbiage there. There was some lorem ipsum left, so there were some random words that were still not filled. But basically, this thing was like the full-featured GM release of iOS 11 with all of the assets for the iPhone 10. So you had like everything physically, almost every software feature. What did we really miss? Like maybe a few specs, like on the apertures of the cameras and stuff like that. But you basically knew everything. So it's like, if I come back to my TV show allegory, it's basically like if somebody was spoiling you like 3 days in advance what the Christmas special of Star Wars would be. So you would be pissed, and I was pissed, because for me this thing is like a big show. It's not just who you're an Apple fanboy and these are new products and who cares. No, I really love the way that the presentation is going. I really admire them for the way that their showmanship shows on stage, and the way that they present products, and the way that the story that they want to explain, going through the features and why they do something and why this feature is important. And the whole thing is like very interesting for me. And this year, I feel like I was spoiled a lot of time in advance, many times. And not just like, the manufacturing companies are saying that they're going to get this or this. These are never accurate. They were very accurate, and they don't really matter that much. But this year, leaks from Apple directly, this is bad. So how do you feel about those?
Also, we're never going to be able to like resolve this. It's only going to get worse and worse. So I know there's been a lot of like mess ups that maybe that they can control, but hardware leaks, we're never going to be able to control them with the production in China, and like the amount of production you have to have ramped up before the event anyways to be able to supply it, the device 2 days or 2 weeks or not even like a week and a half later. So on the hardware side, I don't know what they can do. The only thing they can do is like with the HomePod, it didn't leak because they pre-announced it like almost a year before it actually came out.
Well, same thing for the AirPods. This was also not leaked. And there's a bunch of hardware that never leaks, like the Mac Minis and the Mac Pros, they never leak. But the iPhone, they always do, because people know the iPhone, I guess. But even then, I think there's more they can do on the hardware side. But usually, it's not really there that the problem is, because like I said, the leaks are happening, but they're never really accurate. Or they're like, usually, here's what Apple plans, but there's like a plan B and a plan C. So which one is going to be the real thing? You don't really know. But when you have software leaks like that of firmwares from Apple, you have all the juicy details. And oftentimes, everything, like the name, we knew the name beforehand. And that's usually one of the last things that leaks. You can, in the past years, you had the look sometimes because of the hardware manufacturers, but you did not have the name because all those marketing stuff was kept silent. But in this case, everything was in there. So anyways, yeah, I hope that they resolve that, and because this makes for a much better show. Even in the current theater, had lots of employees that were clapping and screaming once in a while, but you can see that if all of this information was not leaked, people would be much more impressed with the event and what was announced. This for me is one super jam-packed event that should have got a lot more clapping and screaming and people being excited. Maybe not to the iPhone level of things, but very close.
But at the same time, I know you don't get like the big show, but just getting through all the leaks like that is pretty cool. Like I applaud Steven Stroughton-Smith,
Yeah,
like for digging and finding all a bunch of stuff like this. Like that's pretty cool, and that's for us also. Like the rest of the world don't see Steven on Twitter, so they don't know any leaks at all, unless a couple get to like the main press. But for them, it's all the big show. So stop being a geek and just enjoy the Apple event like everybody else.
yeah, I try, but I know too much in advance. So. I need to format my brain a couple of days in advance and just forget about everything. It's like
we
when
need the Mission Impossible little blinky thing.
Yeah, exactly. Or Men in Black.
Men in Black.
Yeah. It's like for those of you who are gamers, you know, this feeling is you played a game, let's say Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past on the SNES, and you've played it so many times that you know the game by heart. Then a couple of years later, you play the game again, and you realize that you totally forgot about one dungeon. The excitement level when you reach that dungeon and you kind of like re-experience this game for the first time, that's amazing. You know that you like the game, you love the game, you know that it's amazing, and just to redo it again, it's like if you were brought to a second game on the same platform, and the feeling is amazing. And I would love to be able to do that with my brain for Apple events. Like during all the year, we discussed the rumor mill, and everything comes out of those journalists and geeks that are decompiling the code and understanding the API endpoints. And then just before the event, you just do a reset and you go with the event with this innocent state of mind that everything that is being presented is new and crazy, but you know that because it's an Apple event that you're going to love everything that's going to be announced. But it's all reset and it's all nice and new. So I would love to be able to do that to my brain. Yeah. Dreaming. Was there something else that was announced? I think that covers it all.
Did we talk about all the, if you bought a movie on iTunes, it's now in 4K?
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, well, not everything. They say like compatible or participating studios. If you have an HD version of a movie.
Right. I think it's like pretty much everything except for Disney.
Yeah, basically. I don't understand why. Disney and Apple and Pixar, they're all kind of tied up together, but still for some reason they don't want that. Maybe because Disney plans something else, or maybe they have like a partnership in the works with somebody else. Maybe they're going to offer those 4K version of their movies exclusively through Netflix or somebody else. That's the kind of like the only way I can see. So for maybe like 6 months to a year, we might only have those Pixar movies on that service, and then they might come to iTunes, and then you'll be able to get those 4K versions.
I think we pretty much covered it.
Yeah, I think it's about it. So it will make for a pretty long show. So
yeah.
All right. So that was it for episode 63 of the RGBA podcast. You can find the show notes at rgba.fm/63. You can find us on Twitter at _RGBA. And I'm on Twitter at Valia, VALLIERES.
And I'm Tyler Menard, TYLERMENARD.
Have a nice week.
Have a nice week.